welcome back to my channel. It's the last week of June, so we are going to be talking about all of the great books that were released in the month of June 2023. Now, I've got a lot for you, so grab something to drink and get settled in so that we can check out all the books that were released this month. One of the first books that came out this month is called Too Many Tias. In this story, a young girl is overwhelmed by her rambunctious family. Martina doesn't like parties. These family parties are so loud, her tias have so much to say, and there's just a lot going on. So she kind of finds this magical place of solitude where she can be by herself and things are quiet. But then she realizes what makes a home truly a home, and she learns to appreciate her family. A great read aloud to add to your collection. The next new book that was released this month is called Our Pool, and this would be the perfect read aloud for the summer. It's a hot day and people are coming from all over the city to enjoy the cool pool. There are friends and families, kids and grandparents, people of all shapes and sizes. And everyone is welcome to swim and splash in this pool. This book is truly a love song to the community, to summer, to having fun, and to coming together to enjoy that city pool. And stay tuned for next week because I'll have some more summer read-alouds for you to share, so be on the lookout for that one next Sunday. Another new book that came out in June 2023 is called The Sound of Kindness. This book shares with us that kindness is all around us if you know where to look and how to listen for it. This tells the story of a parent and a child who are walking through their neighborhood, and they're looking for this kindness wherever they go. They hear words of friendship and gratitude, support, generosity, and love. And they realize that, again, that kindness is everywhere. And it's important for us to just listen for it and to share it with others. A great book to jumpstart the school year or to even incorporate into your SEL lessons as well. The next new book that I have is called Penny and Pip. And this one reminds me a lot of, I think it's called Danny and the Dinosaur. So let me know if you think this one reminds you of that book as well. A little girl is at the museum and she finds a baby dinosaur roaming the halls of this museum. And this dinosaur just keeps following her around, so she decides to name it Pip and give it some snacks. And then she decides that this dinosaur needs a home, if only she can figure out how to get it back to her house. You'll have to read it with your class to see if she figures that out. The next new release that I have from June 2023 is called A Smart, Smart School. And if that title sounds familiar, it is. It's a follow-up to the book A Fine, Fine School. In this book, those beloved characters return to have something else going on at their school. If you've read the first one, you know that Mr. Keene, the principal, encourages his students, his school, to be creative and be individualistic and to show themselves through that creativity, whether it's art or music or dance. But then Mr. Keene has to leave for a little while, and the new principal, Mr. Tatters, he is not as much on the creative side as Mr. Keene is. He prefers tests every day and no art, no music, and the students and even the teachers don't really like this. This really shares a timely message of the importance of creativity in the classroom and how much students and teachers and everyone truly enjoys that and how much more comes out of that creativity than that constant testing. I think this is a great one that both you and your students will love. Another brand new book is called Where Wildflowers Grow. This is a story of a young girl who was uprooted from her home in Vietnam, and her family has now settled into a refugee camp. And she really enjoys being there and the friends that she's made, and she enjoys picking wildflowers daily. But then one day it's moving day, and her family is so excited to go to their forever home in America, but she's not so sure that she wants to move. She likes where she is. She's sad to leave those friends and to leave those wildflowers behind. But this book reminds us that wherever we go, wherever we move, we continue to grow just like the wildflowers. And this book is based on the true story of the author's life growing up. In the back matter, she has photos and details her journey that she took with her family. So it's really interesting to read the story with your students and then to delve into that back matter at the end of the book as well. Another great addition to your classroom library. This next new book is also about moving and about changes in a family. This one is called Only for a Little While. Poppy loses his job and Maribel and her family need to move in with their extended family. And this feels very unsettling to Maribel. She's in this house with more people, it's loud, she has to share her bedroom, and it's just very different. But then she starts to think about it and she realizes that there's always somebody to play with. And their meal times are full of laughter and happiness, and she starts to see the positive sides of this. This is a moving story about family and change and how that love is always constant. This is a great book for students who are experiencing a big change in their life, such as moving or something different happening. This one will really speak to them. This next book is another powerful one. This one is called Moonlight Memories. Piper is feeling sad and empty after her mother passes away. And her father is dealing with his own grief at the same time. But he gives her a telescope and encourages her to look out at the stars at night. But instead of finding stars, Piper finds memories. And she realizes she starts connecting with those memories of her mother. And she rushes to draw pictures of each of these memories before they can disappear. And she hangs these memories all around her bedroom so that she's surrounded by these wonderful things that she and her mom and her dad used to do as a family. This book is an important one in that it helps children process and acknowledge the grief that they're feeling. For so long, we just swept that kind of thing under the rug. But I think bringing it to light is important for kids and even adults. And there's even a note at the back of the book to help adults with reading this book aloud to students or even their own children. And this note is from a children's counselor, and it also provides additional resources should you need them. The next new release for June 2023 is called Salat In Secret. In this book, a Muslim boy receives a prayer rug for his 7th birthday. And he becomes empowered by his faith, and he's determined to do all of his prayers on time throughout the day. There are 5 different prayers, but one of them falls during the school day, and he starts to get worried. He doesn't want to be seen praying at school. He knows that throughout the day, his dad is praying, doing one of the prayers during the day, and is often mocked or made fun of, or people stare at him, and the young boy is really nervous about this. But then a teacher steps in to help him, and they find the perfect spot for him to pray during the day. This next new book release for June 2023 reminds me of the kindness book that I mentioned earlier. This one is called You, Me, and We. And this one's all about peace and cultivating that peace both at home and in the classroom. And how peace can be found when we play together, when we speak up, when we ask for help, or when we share kindness with others. Peace is there when we take turns, when we get past our misunderstandings, and when we learn and grow. This book is co-authored by one of the grandsons of Mahatma Gandhi, and I think it's an interesting one for students to listen to read, and to really learn about peace and what it means and what it looks like. Again, this would make a great addition to your collection of SEL books in your classroom. Another new release from June 2023 is called Same Love, Different Hug. And this book celebrates the different ways that we show affection. That sometimes we really love getting hugs. Sometimes we want a giant bear hug. Sometimes just a gentle hug. Or depending on who we meet or who we're interacting with, we want those different types of hugs, but also understanding that we don't always want a hug. That other people don't always want a hug, and that we need to respect both those boundaries of others and understand our own boundaries as well. This book reminds me a lot of the book Don't Hug Doug, and I think it's an important one for students to understand that they might not always want a hug, that other people might not always want a hug, and that there are different ways that we can show how we care about each other without that physical touch. A great conversation starter for in your classroom, especially at the beginning of the year. And the last brand new book that I have to share with you today is called I Can Be All Three. It's Multicultural Day at school, and a young girl is trying to figure out how she can tell the story of her family. Does she share her German tales or her stories from India? or the American traditions that she celebrates. Realizes that just choosing one of those doesn't seem quite right. And then she realizes that it's all three, that sharing all these parts of who she is really tell her full story. And that's what she decides to share on Multicultural Day. Great story about understanding who we are and what makes us who we are, and finding out, if we can, about what makes up our background, where our ancestors came from. I think that's really interesting for students who know what their background is. Now, I hope that you'll be able to get some or all of these books to share in your classroom. I will leave links to all of the book titles down below in the description so that you can share them with your students either this year or next. And make sure you let me know in the comments which one you want to grab first. And stay tuned for next week because, like I said, I will have some great picture book read-alouds to celebrate summer. Have a great week.